Hey guys, Wisconsin Cattle Feeder here. Hey, I just want to take some time on this first video to introduce myself, give a little background on the farm and how we got to where we are right now, and to give a little insight as to what I wish to do with this channel. I am a first generation cattle feeder. I am not a first generation farmer. My father was a beef cow-calf guy. He did that on a hobby basis. He also built custom homes. My grandfather was a full-time dairy farmer. My great-grandfather was also a farmer. And so farming is in our blood. My family purchased the farm that I am on now in 1995. They built the home here in 1996, and the first barn came shortly after that. I began farming at a very early age on the carpet. I can remember, and my mom will tell the stories of me getting upset when she would vacuum the carpet because I could no longer see my tracks where I had planted or I had chopped. But I started real farming when I was 15 years old. I grew my first 1.5 acres of corn here on this farm. From there, I rented my grandfather's farm the following year. I believe the following year after that, I also rented another 40-acre farm. I was never really interested in the cows, and I don't know how that really happened or why that was, but that was more my dad's thing. Towards my end of my high school career, I was basically doing all the cropping and Dad was taking care of the cows. I was also working with him full-time, building homes, so we were spending a lot of time together. And in 2008, when the economy kind of took its downward turn, I took it upon myself, knowing that work was going to be scarce, and I went and got a job at a road construction company. I worked there full-time during the summer months, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturdays I would be gone from the farm, but I was still crop farming, a couple 300 acres. So not sure how I made it through that. I was burning the candle at both ends all the time. I was always tired, but knew that the drive to farm was still there, and that is what kept me going. In 2014, in March, my father passed away unexpectedly, and it left my wife and I and my mom with a lot of decisions as to what was going to transpire with the farm. Mom never really had an active role in the farm, so I felt it was on my shoulders to decide, what were we going to do. At that point in time, Dad had approximately 100 cows and some young stock, and I knew with the construction season coming up that I was not going to be able to deal with cow-calf animals out on pasture. We did make it through the first summer, and it was a struggle, and in the fall of 2014, we made the unanimous decision that we would sell Dad's cows and move on with the next chapter of the farm. So we did my wife and I retained 5 heifers out of my dad's herd to try and hold that legacy a little bit. Those were destined to be my wife's beef cows, and subsequently in the last couple of years they have become my son's beef cow herd. We are calling it his college fund, although I believe there are better ways of investing money for his college. So we, in the fall of 2014, my wife and I purchased the home farm. We obviously had made a decision we were not going to cow-calf, but I had dabbled off and on feeding steers, and it was something that I enjoyed. So I decided that I was going to feed steers. At the time, Angus cattle were extremely high, so we started with Holstein steers. The first group was 46. We raised them to 800 pounds, sold them as heavyweight feeders, and that's what we did for the next year and a half, upwards of 200 head. We would start them at 300 pounds, raise them to 800 pounds, and then send them to sale barns where they would go to bigger feedlots. I decided in the end of 2015 that I wanted to try finishing cattle, taking them all the way out to market weight, and we did so successfully. The farm continued to grow. In the end of 2016, early 2017, we decided that the farm had gotten too big for me to work full-time and successfully work on the farm, and we were still too small to have enough income from the farm to replace my construction job. So after many discussions, my wife and I decided that it was time to pursue an expansion. At that point in time, we were shooting for a 400 head finishing capacity per year. July of 2017, we were funded and construction began. I did a lion's share of the construction myself, from pouring concrete, grading dirt, driving nails. I did a lot of it. I had a lot of good friends that helped out, and that is part of why we are as successful as we are, is sweat equity. We are now finally up to a point where we are at full production after our expansion. We ended up at a capacity of 720 head of steers per year, starting at 300 to 500 pounds and finishing at 13 to 1500 pounds. So our expansion got larger than what we anticipated, but I'm happy we ended where we are. It seems to be a good fit right now. We also grow a lot of feed that we feed. We do get some byproducts from ethanol plants, but the rest of the feed we grow here on our acres. We harvest it ourselves, and that helps us make us successful, but it also makes it very stressful at times. Planting season when you're trying to tend to cattle and plant, and harvest season when you're trying to harvest, make bedding, and tend to cattle. And we also started custom chopping. Why we did that? Well, that's a pretty easy story. I knew we needed to harvest our silages at the proper stages, and so in order to do that with the volume we needed, we bought a self-propelled chopper. When word got out that we had that, the phone started ringing off the hook for guys looking for someone to do some chopping for them. Smaller customers, I don't want to do any large customers. I already have myself as a large customer, so that has become a very nice sideline for us. It's a nice extra income in the fall. So what I want to do with this YouTube channel is to educate and inform the public. As we were getting into this expansion, I realized that there are a lot of people out there that don't understand what we do, that don't understand what goes on in commercial feedlots in general. There are a lot of misconceptions on the internet, and I feel that the best way to deal with those is to show personally what we do on our farms. By no means do I think we're perfect and we do everything right. There are some times where we have to make sacrifices for one reason or another, but I hopefully in these videos will show and explain why we do some of the things that we do, why we don't do some of the things that we do, and I don't anticipate everybody agreeing with me. I know they won't. That is okay. I hope that people will give feedback, both positive and negative, but I feel that it is my duty as a young millennial farmer to educate and do the best we can to inform everyone of what really goes on. I know that as generations go on, people are getting farther and farther removed from the farms. People don't really truly understand where their food comes from and what kind of work goes into getting that. I even know that there are children that think that their food comes from the supermarket. And many people don't understand that there is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into getting it to the supermarket stage. So that's part of what I want to do. The other thing I want to do is I see my son growing up on this farm. He sees what goes on here all the time. He knows what kind of hard work is involved. I see the joy of him out here when he sees Dad in the tractors and when he's out feeding cattle with me. And I know that there is a majority of kids that do not get that opportunity. So I'm hoping to kind of share that opportunity that he gets through these videos. And also kind of takes me back to my childhood when I got to watch our neighbors farming, and I would spend hours at the windows watching. So hopefully this will be something similar to that. This whole YouTube thing is new to me. I asked for a GoPro camera for my birthday and Christmas because I had watched for many months other farm YouTube channels, and I wanted to be a part of what they were doing, and I thought it was great for the general public to see what goes on and to be educated. So the other aspect of that is I am new to this, so I am still working with the cameras, the editing software, and so bear with me. Hopefully things will get better. If I don't, you can let me know. But spend some time enjoying the videos, and give me some comments, positive, negative, give me some likes. And one thing that I am cautious about is when I got this camera, I was so excited to have it because I could now do my YouTube channel. And then it hit me that, do you really want to do this? And the reason for that being is commercial feedlot operations are very controversial. And they cause controversy to people that are not truly informed. And so I've sat and looked at this camera and not touched it for over 2 weeks. And finally decided the only way to get through to people that don't really know or appreciate commercial cattle farming, that the only way to do that was for me to do something like this, to show what we are doing on a personal basis. So please enjoy. Like I said, positive, negative feedback, and give me some likes, subscribe, and we'll enjoy this ride together as I show you what I am doing to live my dream.